Hey ABC, it's Greeno. Well, it's finally time to do the Ebony Records Spotlight. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Finally got everything pulled from the shelves that I have, and gonna make a video. Last video was an Auburn Records Spotlight, and actually had fun doing that. Good responses, and I got some cool information, some stuff I didn't know. I'm by no means an expert on any of this stuff. I just like this stuff. So, if you're watching this and you have any information to add, please do, man. So, anyways, let's kind of jump in here. I do have a little bit of notes written down. Can't remember everything. Basically, Ebony Records kind of started the tail end of the new wave British heavy metal scene in '82. So, if you kind of read up about the new wave British heavy metal, it was like 79 to 82, 83 is kind of what a lot of people believe. That was the window. And Ebony kind of come in there in '82, and they went till '87. I believe it was, 1987. But most of the bands on there were still playing that kind of new wave of British heavy metal, but it was definitely the metal side of it. A lot of the hard rock that was kind of the 70s hard rock that was mixed in with the new wave of British heavy metal when it first kind of started, that's kind of gone by the time Ebony comes along, and it's like metal, and you can read up about a lot of these bands. You'll see like blue collar metal. They'll describe it, it's underground. It's not like really speed metal or thrash metal or all these other genres that would come along. It's just like metal, for that time period. And it's some great stuff. Some really cool bands come off this label. One actually did very, very well for that period. So let's kind of jump in here. Hopefully this won't be too long. So like I said, Ebony functioned basically from '82 to '87. In '82, they released some compilation albums, and from about '83 on, they were putting out full-length albums from bands. And around '85, they had a subsidiary label called Criminal Response. They only put out like 5 albums on that label, and I have none of those on vinyl. I do have 2, 3 on CD. They're probably bootlegs. As a matter of fact, I know they're bootlegs, but I've just never come across any of those on vinyl. We'll kind of talk about those maybe when we get to 1985. And then at the end, it kind of looks like Ebony changed into, the label was called Retrospect. Well, let me make sure. Reaction Records, I'm sorry. And it kind of looks there, they were doing a lot of compilations. Not a lot, a handful. And they only put out a handful. And I believe even some of it was earlier Ebony stuff. So, and I've never come across any of those. I don't even have any of that stuff on CD. So, let's jump into 1982. Okay, first off, what's playing in the background? I just felt like putting this one on. It's Touched, Death Row. This is Ebony number 33, and we'll talk about this one when we get to it. If you can even hear what's playing in the background. But anyways, first release, 1982. Ebony releases Metal Fatigue compilation album. So this is Ebony number 1. The bands on here are Headhunter. Second track is Savage. And Savage would be the first full-length album. The band that Ebony released the first full-length album of. Pretty legendary album, great album. Also on here was Hotwire, Shell Shock, Strontium Dog, which released some material on other labels. JD Band, Assassin, Inner Vision, and Modus Operandi. So basically, Savage is the only band, and here's the label, Ebony 1. Savage is the only band that would go on to release more or something else on Ebony. And then they would kind of bolt and go on to release some more on other labels. So that's the first full length, or the first compilation album, Ebony 1. Now Ebony 2 was actually called Synthetic Romance, non-metal. So it's kind of funny. It's just like Neat Records, I think, when they first started, they're trying to figure out what's going on. They release a metal single, then they release a non-metal single, and then they figure out the metal was the way to go. So maybe Ebony was kind of doing that a little bit too. So their second compilation was like, synth driven, or whatever, synth pop, whatever. And I've never come across that either. I bet that's rare as crap. Non-metal, I'm not really worried about grabbing it, but I would if I ever came across it. But like I say, I've never seen that. Okay, Ebony number 3, again, non-metal compilation album. And it was called, pull it up again here, Sample and Hold. And looks like that was kind of like a new wave kind of sounding compilation. And again, never seen it. I've never even seen a cover for that one. So Ebony released Metal Fatigue, and then a couple non-metal compilations, and then that was it. They were kind of done with that. Metal's the direction they were going, and metal was the direction they did go. That's what they released from that point on. Okay, so and I should say all I'm showing is full-length 12-inch albums and compilations. There are a couple singles in here that I don't have. I'm not a big singles guy. If I ever came across them, of course I would grab them, but I've just never, went out looking for them or went online looking for them, whatever. Okay, Ebony number 4 was a single. Ebony number 5 was a single. And then Ebony number 6, which is Metallic Storm. Great cover. Again, we're still in 1982. Here's the back. And it's kind of cool. At the top, they give like a little paragraph, and it talks about Metallic Storm, the second album devoted entirely to the promotion of rock bands from Ebony Records. So they don't even count what was in between Metal Fatigue and Metallic Storm. I guess in a way. But anyways, this compilation, pretty noteworthy because basically the first thing on vinyl from Merciful Fate. Track number 1, hopefully you can see that, is Black Funeral from Merciful Fate. And I believe this is the first thing that was released, and I believe this is a different mix, different version maybe of that track as compared to anywhere else. And look at the label. Still has the same Ebony, nothing fancy on the label. Okay, who else was on here? It was Tantrum, Scimitar, Terra Sutra, Mean Machine, Confessor, Jury, Wells Fargo, Mercenary, Wicked Vicar, Pentapus, Detroit, and Moby Dick. Not one band that released anything else under those band names anyways on Ebony. But I will say that these compilations from '82 do still have a touch of that hard rock in it from the new wave British heavy metal, the '70s kind of thing. But once you get into the full-length albums in '83, that's where the full-on metal kind of comes in. Okay, so that's Ebony number 6. Number 7 was a 7-inch, and then number 8 was another compilation, Metal Maniacs. Again, killer freaking cover. Bands on this compilation are Uncle Cyrus, Mad Avenue, and Chateau. Killer band. They were the only band on Ebony to release 3 full-length albums. Most bands released 1 or 2 if they were lucky, but Chateau were lucky enough to release 3 full-lengths on Ebony. Madame Guillotine, Omen, not the Omen that everybody knows. Menace, Trojan, Fallen Angel, Mirage, Angel Underground, Crowwolf, Stranger, and Emerald. So one band that would go on to release more material on Ebony. And it says here, Metal Maniacs, the 3rd album devoted entirely to the promotion of rock bands on Ebony Records, the record company with its own 24-track studio who specializes in rock and metal bands. So they found their niche kind of now. And just like Neat Records with, what was it, Impulse Studios, Ebony had their own studio. And kind of just like Neat, Ebony had their own sound. A lot of the bands had that blue-collar metal, that straight-ahead kind of metal sound once they start releasing these full-length albums. Which is kind of cool. I mean, it's, you know, it kind of ties everything together, just with all the bands on Neat, that new wave British heavy metal sound. Earlier on, Ebony kind of had the same thing going on with their studio. Okay, so we were at number 8, Ebony 8. Ebony number 9 was a single from Chateau in '82, and Ebony number 10 was a single from Savage, Ain't No Fit Place. Ebony number 11 is the Metal Warriors compilation. Hopefully you can see. Artwork kind of stepped up a notch. Very cool. It's the back. Just another plain back. Okay, on this one, Metal Warriors is the 4th in line of promotional albums. It is hoped that even more successful than Ebony's previous material. Blah blah blah. But again, you know, we can see they're kind of linking all these together. This is the 4th one. The bands are Shy, which would go on to release more material on Ebony. High Level, Flight, Mitchell, Troy, Wish, Omega, who released more material on different labels. Sortilege from France, wouldn't release anything else on Ebony, but would definitely go on. Very cool band. Release some more, have some more releases. Sorry. Then we have Lady Drive, TNT, and it's not the TNT that we all know. Vortex, which would go on to release other, or have other releases on different labels. Sinner, it's not the Sinner from Germany. Random Black and Breeze, So basically on here all we have is Shy, who would go on to release more on Ebony. But some very cool, you know, sortilege. Really, really cool. And here's our label, Ebony number 11. Okay, and that's 1982. I believe that was it. Excuse me. Metal Warriors come out at the beginning of 83. So 82 leading up to the beginning of 83, they're doing these compilation albums. And now we're going to get into the full lengths. Okay, so we're up to 1983, and I just showed the Metal Warriors compilation that basically started the year out. And actually when I was putting this together, I mistakenly thought that was 82, but it is 83. But now the label is starting to put out full-length releases by bands. There's one more compilation to come. So in 83 there was 5 12 inches released, 4 full lengths and 1 compilation. So we're up to Ebony number 12, which is kind of a legendary underground metal album, I guess you could say. It's Savage, Loose and Lethal. Hopefully not too much glare. Killer record. I've seen this released on CD and actually have a copy. I think it was Metal Blade put this out. Maybe at the end of the video I'll pull a couple of CDs of some of the reissues. And now we have the Ebony Curb label. And again, this is Ebony number 12. So this is the first full length by a band on the label. The next full length, Ebony number 13, fantastic album. I really dig this album. And actually a little bit of note, because the singer is Steve Grimmett, who would go on to sing with Grim Reaper. Same year, put out their debut. But it's Chateau with Chained and Desperate. Man, I hope there's not too much glare on these. This is a killer record, man. And I to be honest, I probably need to research it here, but I'm not sure if Steve Grimmett was just kind of helping these guys out. They were on the same label. And here's the album, or the label. Like I said, I'm not sure if he was helping them out. They needed a singer. They were ready to release their first full length, but he's on the debut. And like I said, Grim Reaper's debut would come out not very long after this. Okay, Ebony number 14. It's called Metal Plated. It's another compilation. I actually have a bootleg, burn, whatever, on CD of it. Don't have it on vinyl, and I could swear I have it and I can't find it anywhere. But anyways, I am missing 5. The way I count it, there's like 35 Ebony releases I want to have, and that's the 12-inch ones and all the metal ones. That's excluding the couple comps that weren't metal. And the 7 inches would be cool, but I'm not too worried about those. But like I said, I'm missing 5. So, and that's the first one I'm missing, Ebony number 14, Metal Plated. Okay, next up is Ebony number 15, which was a definite hole in my collection and a high on the want list. And that hole was filled last year or so by a VC member, Brother Aaron, Metal Theologian. Found me a copy. Super excited. Shy, once bitten, twice shy. And of course these guys would go on major label even, I think. The back. And the label. Very cool album. A little more metal than what they would be later on, I guess you could say. But thanks, Aaron. I'll find the rest of them for him. Just kidding. Anyways, next is Ebony number 16. And like I said, Grim Reaper would release their first full length, and in the same year as Chateau with Steve Grimmett. Kind of along with Savage, this band was the other shining stars, I guess you could say, on Ebony. So it was Grim Reaper, See You in Hell. Fantastic album. Loved this album as a kid. Played the hell out of it. As a kid, I was just like everybody else. I had the RCA pressing, which you'll see, you know, not hard to find. But this is the Ebony pressing, which isn't as easy to find. But even on the RCA, you'll see the Ebony logo. But if I remember right, totally different background or back sleeve. I can't remember now. And actually, the track order might be different. I can't remember. But anyways, classic album. I love this band. I thought they were great. It's too bad they didn't do a little more, a little better. But they definitely released, I think everything they released in the 80s was very cool. And that's a fantastic cover. Loved all the Ebony covers. They are the definition of 80s cheesy metal covers. They're all perfect. So, okay, so that ends 1983. Okay, so we're up to 1984. The first release is Ebony number 17, and that would be Holland, Early Warning. Man, I hope you can see these. Got a lot of glare today. A little more going on the back of this one. Very cool band. They would actually release one more album after a name change on Ebony, and we'll show that when we get to it. Number 18 was the second album from Chateau, Firepower. And again, I really dig this band. They're up there with Savage and Grim Reaper to me. I thought this was a very cool band. Next we have Ebony number 19, and that would be Demon Eyes, Rites of Chaos. This is 1983, Ebony number 19, and look, they get a little fancy on the back here. Very cool. Special thanks to Bob Snake, who plays drums on this LP. Thanks, Bob. Okay, next we're up to Ebony number 20, and this is Sterling Cook Force, Full Force. Still in the shrink, and probably going to have major glare. Man, I hope these are showing up. And to be honest, man, I cannot remember what this album sounds like. There was no way I could go back and spin everything, check everything out. A lot of these haven't spun for a long time, actually. Next is Ebony number 21, and this is the first album from Blade Runner. This is Hunted. And these guys would go on to release more after their Ebony releases. And actually, I think they may even still be putting stuff out now. And did they turn into like a kind of a Christian metal thing? Or am I thinking of a different band? Love that cover. Alright, next is Ebony number 22, which is Nightmare, Waiting for the Twilight. And you can see the label. There hasn't been any change. I haven't shown the last few. No changes. And Ebony number 23 is Siren Veins, Bringer of Evil. I love this cover. And like I said, a lot of these you can pick up on CD now. They've been reissued on various labels and small labels, and bootlegged. I'm sure you can find bootlegs out there flowing around. And this was Siren Veins' first release on Ebony. Then Ebony number 24 is Samurai, Sacred Blade. Very cool cover. And we're back there. I love the back covers on these. It's like, that's just, as a kid, how I remember metal albums. Killer front covers. The back is just like, here's the band, here's what we look like, and here's some information. And not computer generated, anything like that. I hate the new computer generated covers. And then the last full-length release from '84 is Ebony number 28. So we had a jump from 24 to 28, so there were some singles in there. And that's Touched. This is the first release. Again, we're listening to Touched now. And, excuse me, this is the first full-length from Touched, Back Alley Vices. And again, another perfect back cover. And love the logo. Okay, so that kind of ends 84. So going into 85, there are 5 12-inch full-length releases. Okay, we're up to 1985. The next release is Ebony number 29. And it's 1 year later. Holland has changed their name to Hammer and released Contract with Hell. Killer cover. No pictures of the band on the back, but we'll let it pass. Cool album. Definitely a cool band. I'm not sure why the name change, but next we have Ebony number 30, which second release from Nightmare. Power of the Universe. Cool back cover with the pictures, the information. And again, I'm not going into detail about each album, what they sound like, trying to do a review of each album, can't do that. Again, some of these haven't spun forever. But there's definitely a sound that runs through all these albums, and it's that underground metal, new wave British heavy metal style. Next is the third album from Chateau, and that's Ebony number 31, and it's Highly Strung. Pretty cool cover. No picture on the back of this one. Again, I really dig this band. Check them out if you haven't before. Next is Ebony number 32, and this will be the second full length from Grim Reaper, and that's Fear No Evil. And again, played the crap out of this as a kid and had the RCA pressing. Wasn't until years later I actually found an Ebony pressing. But either way, if you don't have the Grim Reapers, don't wait because you can't find an Ebony pressing. Buy the RCA ones. They're a great band, worth having. And then the last full length from 85 is Ebony 33, and that's what we're listening to. It's the second release from Touched, Death Row. And it's a great album. Hopefully you can hear it. I didn't want to turn it up too loud. It's where it'd be overbearing with me talking, but it's killer metal. Just it's Ebony, you know. All right, so that ends 85. Next, we're getting into 86, and there was 9 full-length releases in 86. So let me grab those. Okay, 1986 starts with Ebony number 34, and that's Rankelson, Hungry for Blood. Not one of my favorite bands on Ebony. This was their first full length on Ebony. They would have one more. But, and again, it's been a long time. I remember not digging this all that much, to be quite honest. A little more raw, if I remember correctly. And just one of those I wasn't as into. This one's a little, yeah, it's been loved. But it's not a bad copy. Any copy's cool. Next we have Ebony number 35. This is the second release from Blade Runner, Warriors of Rock. And again, cool band. And this album always I always wondered what's going on here, because you can see, like in the hand, it says Blade Runner on like a logo. It's clutching, and then around the shackle it says Warriors of Rock. But at the top it has Blade Runner. At the bottom it has Warriors of Rock. So it's like, did Ebony not like the painting? Didn't think the logos and the title stood out enough, and they changed it, or what? It's just kind of weird. Anyways, that was Ebony 35. Ebony number 36 is the second release from Siren Veins, and that's Revenge. Cool, another cool cover. And we have a picture on the back. And I still have a sticker on this one. Looks like I paid $12 for it. Don't know what they go for. I haven't looked them up. Some of these are ridiculous money now. Ebony number 37 is the second release from Samurai, and that's Weapon Master. Another kick-ass, cheesy 80s cover. And then Ebony number 38 is Tagamira, Deliverance. And again, this one is definitely well loved. But the vinyl's great. Cover, yeah, has some issues, but that's alright. Okay, and then I have some holes. So Ebony 39, which is Cobra, Back from the Dead. Ebony 40, Prayer, Terminator, and Ebony 41, Blood Money, Raw, Red, and Bleeding. Do not have on vinyl. Have all of them on CD, one way or the other, legit or not. But definitely, hopefully be tracking those down soon. I want to kind of finish out all these Ebony ones I'm missing here at some point before, yeah, prices just keep going up. I need to just do it and get it over with. But next for 1986 would be the last release of the year, is Ebony number 42 with Dealer, First Strike. And this dude here, here's the back. See the dude with the mustache pointing and all metal and badass. That just cracks me up. Okay. Anyways, so we go into 1987, and there's 3 releases, 12-inch releases, and Ebony's pretty much done. So Ebony 44 is Fast Cuts, Burnin', and it's killer cover. And this is a cool album. Definitely remember digging this a lot. And then Ebony number 45 is the second Rankelson, The Bastards of Rock and Roll, and that's a whole, I'm missing that one also. And then the last release is Ebony number 46, Blood Money, Battle Scarred. And the back is killer. Got this dude with the chainsaw, of course. All 80s metalheads were part-time lumberjacks. And that's it. That is the Ebony collection, or that I have. Like I said, I'd like to have the 7 inches, but they just never show up, and I'm not going to go hunt them down. But I do want to, at some point, finish out the collection here. And you know, as a kid, I had some of these albums, you know, especially like the Grim Reaper and the Savage and all that. But it wasn't until probably like 99, 2000 when I really got looking. It's like, you know what, I got like maybe a third of the what come out on Ebony. I want to try and see if I can fill it out, you know, finish it off. And here it is, 2016, and I'm down to 5. Is that right? Yep, 5 to finish it off. So it's taken that long, and I'm still not done. But at some point, you know, that's, yeah. Well, I guess when you turn into that collector side of it, when you turn the corner, you know, whatever. But very cool label. If you've never checked out any of these bands and you dig that early metal, that, you know, new wave British heavy metal sound, definitely check out some of these bands. You know, I'm sure probably everybody watching this knows Grim Reaper, and probably a lot of the people watching know Savage. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. The other bands are. Losing my train of thought. Okay, so that's it. Kind of edit this together. Hopefully it makes sense, and everybody will kind of check it out. And again, as you can see, I'm no expert on any of this stuff. I just, you know, I dig this stuff. I just wanted to share my collection of Ebony, and you know, it's what the VC's about, I guess. Again, hope everybody's doing well and enjoyed this video. Later, VC.